During my last robbery, I found something I wish I hadn't. At the outset, I should tell you, I'm a thief. Not a classless smash and grab guy, or a lowly pickpocket. Those require no planning or strategy beyond move quickly and be ready. To run, I'm a fourth-generation cat burglar. I'm very good at my job. If everything goes right, you don't notice I've been there for weeks. If ever, I understand most people find this line of work deplorable. I'm okay with that. I could go on and on about how the system steals from us all the time, and how the rich use their ill-gotten gains to subjugate us and give you the whole. I'm really a Robin Hood type figure, but I will spare you all that rationality. I'm a thief because I'm good at it and was raised in a culture that values it. There are other reasons, but it's not worth getting into them. To be a cat burglar isn't just about breaking into a house and cleaning out a safe. That's part of the job, sure, but like an iceberg, most of it remains hidden from view. My father used to tell me, being a thief is being prepared to be bored out of your mind. He wasn't wrong about that, anyway. Wrong about a lot of other things, but I digress. Once I narrow in on an address, I have to sit it. That sounds easy, but it's not. It's boring. Clean the garage, boring. Waiting in line at the DMV, boring. But it has to be done. Veg, before ice cream boy. Veg, before ice cream. Dad again. He told me this while housing a sleeve of Fig Newtons before dinner. Much to my chagrin, he was right. Again, outside of watching a house for hours on end. There are so many dozens of other things to keep track of. Has anybody made you while you're casing the place? What hours do the servants work? What's the best way onto the property? How do I get in and out of the house with little chance of being caught? Each question needs to be answered beforehand. Finally, the big question. What's the security situation? A lot of these McMansions come pre-built with high-tech security features in place. For the first year, that's when the lower-cost prices disappear. Most people, even millionaires, will cut off services at that point. They keep the signs, sure, but not the actual equipment. That's gone like disco, and ain't ever coming back. Why? There are two major reasons. First, the rich live in a bubble and don't believe anyone can get to them. Money enables hubris. Second, rich people are the cheapest people in the world. Why pay for the real thing when a chintzy lookalike will do? Capitalism's beating heart is to make the most money by spending the least amount of it. The illusion of security is cheaper than actual security. The night of the robbery, I felt good prepared. I'd watched, noted everyone's daily schedule, marked my entrance and exits, knew where the primary bedroom was located. I even wore my lucky shirt. Fat lot of good that did. I waited until I saw the Uber leave, and then started my half-hour timer. It's been my experience that the help empties out not long after the boss leaves. Cat's away and all that. As if on cue, the servants bolted as soon as the Uber was out of sight. I still waited the 30 minutes. Like a shitty magic spell, stragglers can transform into witnesses. Seeing none, I made my way onto the property. The most tense moment of any heist is when you're about to break in. Even in all black, even in the dark, there's still a chance someone could see you. A nosy neighbor, a dog walker, a panhandler. Anyone. Time works against you. Too slow you draw attention, too fast you make mistakes. A steady hand and a calm demeanor are key here. I have those in spades. This is also the moment that you can't plan for. Did you miss bars on the window? Are there more than one lock? On the door, did someone stay home? Is the alarm system on? Are there cameras rolling? It's a gamble that can cost you your freedom, your life. It's also a rush. I've discovered that, most of the time, upper floor windows in McMansions are unlocked. The thinking goes, well, we have several layers of security before anyone could get to that point. Why bother? I get it. It's a mistake, but one most people would make. Hanging on the outside downspout, I sighed in relief. This window was unlocked. I pushed open the window and climbed in. My moccasins softly touched the floor, making no noise. They're not the most durable in the wild, but inside, they are worth their weight in gold. No tread to ID. No noise on carpets. Comfortable as all hell. The room was dark, and I had no desire to change that. I keep a tiny penlight in my pocket for that reason. I've become so accustomed to seeing the world in the tiny circle of light that my eyes quickly attune to the dark. A cat, in every sense. I assumed the truly valuable things, wills, bank account, information, holy grails, would be in a safe. I don't crack safes. Well, not in people's homes anyway. Too complicated, too messy. I was after jewels. Thanks to my extensive history, I knew where I'd find them. Even in the dark. You could tell how obscenely large the walk-in closet was. It wasn't even fair to call it a walk-in closet, more like a studio apartment for clothes. 3 of the walls were lined with suits and dresses that may have been worn once, maybe twice. Some still had tags on them. The last wall was dedicated to shoes, red-bottom Louboutins, and rare Jordans as far as the eye, or penlight, could see. But what caught my attention was the makeup vanity carved into the wall like Petra in the Shara Mountains. More specifically, the 3 jewelry boxes sitting there. I moved to them like a zealot to the temple. This was what I came for. My haul would keep me in the black for a while. Unless it was costume jewelry. The cocktease of stones, Dad would say. I pried open the first lid and smiled. Dozens of bejeweled brooches shimmered before me, like the hundreds of eyes of some mythological monster. All shapes and sizes. Most ugly, but authentic. The genuine article has a certain touch to them. A heft. These were legit. I plucked a few from the bottom of the box and placed them into my bag. My fingers found something that had an odd shape. I pulled it out to get a closer look. A triangle inside a pentagon. It was on the small side, but was full of diamonds. Valuable, very. But something felt wrong about it. I dropped it back in. The longer you do this job, the more adept you get at picking the right things to steal. The secret is to only take 2 or 3 pieces at a time. Of the few you take, ensure they're plain-looking. Nothing memorable. Unique pieces are hard to fence. If they end up in a pawn shop and a cop finds them, it's only a hop, skip, and a jump until it's traced back. To you? Iron handcuffs, jail time, hard pass on my end. As I put the piece in my bag, my light started flickering. I gently tapped it against the vanity. As I did, I glanced up into the vanity mirror. My heart seized. There was a figure standing near the open window. Out of instinct, I snapped around, ready to rumble. But the figure was gone. I flipped off my light and pocketed it. I turned back to the mirror, and my breath caught. It was standing in the closet doorway now. I balled my fist. I wasn't going to jail. I'd go down swinging. But when I spun to meet them, eye to eye, the figure was gone again. I was confused. I know I saw someone. I couldn't tell you the details. But there was a person standing there, watching, like they weren't surprised to see me in there. The sound of footsteps running from the primary bedroom down the hall echoed through the empty house. After a beat, I heard a door slam somewhere on the floor. My legs wobbled under me. My mouth was dry. I'd experienced plenty of odd shit on the job, but a ghost? Never. Unless it wasn't a ghost. If it wasn't, I was truly up shit's creek. Without a paddle, a person could be worse. Would be worse. A ghost can't call the cops. If you like fucking cardboard tubes, or lubed up dudes. Jail's the bee's knees, Brian. Dad again. I was 8 when he shared this pearl of wisdom with me. What can I say? It stuck with me. It had become my guiding principle. Make smart decisions or learn. To squeeze the charm in, my eyes caught the billowing curtains. It snapped me out of my daze. Exit, yes, but maybe not. Curiosity urged me to go down the hall and see what had been watching me. The thought germinated and bloomed before my rational mind ripped it out at the roots. Get out now, idiot. I started for the window, but stopped myself. Clean up, then go. As I turned to shut the boxes, I heard the familiar slam of a window. Someone had shut my exit route. Fuck. I turned, and, naturally, there wasn't anyone there, except the sound of footsteps running back down the hall. Another door slammed. Holy hell, I said. My tongue felt fat in my mouth. I swiftly cleaned up and made my way to the window. As I got there, I heard something every thief dreads. The front door opened. I knew it wasn't the one I'd heard before, because I heard the loud, boorish homeowner come barging in. "I know you're up there. I saw it on camera, you whore." My fingers gripped the window, and I tried to yank it up. It wouldn't budge. Felt like invisible hands held it down. Panic spiked my blood. My fingertips prickled with fear. I had to hide. Now I retreated into the closet. As I did, I heard the door down the hall open up again, and footsteps raced to the stairs. They stopped at the landing, turned, and ran back to the room, slamming the door as they did. This seemed to agitate the owner. He increased his rate, racing up the stairs, 2 at a time. He bellowed, "You better pray to God I don't catch you. I'm going to take my time, making you bleed. So much so, that your final ascension will feel like a relief." I didn't know what any of that meant, and didn't want to find out. The diversion, though, gave me enough time to find a spot to hide. There was only one that would work. Behind the racks of clothes. It wasn't ideal, but I was out of options. I split the clothes like I was Moses parting the Red Sea and slid into the gap behind them. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs. Another sound, a cell phone ringing, joined them there. "God damn it," the voice spat. "You're lucky. You little bitch. Run now, but you can't hide from me. I'm everywhere." After another ring, he picked up. "Pete, buddy, what's going on?" His tone had changed entirely. My heart was zooming, felt like a coke addict running wind sprints. I'd been close to being caught before, had to slip the fuzz once or twice, but never found myself in a situation like this. I tried to keep my cool, but my body didn't get the message. I trembled. Sweat beaded on my forehead. Fat droplets rolled down my face. I took a deep breath to try to recenter myself. It didn't work. "Trust me, Pete. I get it. I know how many strings you had to pull to get me involved." The man was now in the primary bedroom. I prayed he'd avoid this closet, but when the overhead light popped on, I knew I was good and fucked. He was coming in here. I leaned back against the wall, as if it would eventually absorb me. I kept my hands balled into fists, in case I had to come out swinging. Loath as I was to admit it, I was trapped. A thief's worst nightmare. No way out, without announcing myself. Worse, I had a limited line of sight. Even if there were a chance to leave, I'd have a hard time seeing it. A man dressed in an expensive tuxedo speedwalked into the closet. He was older, perhaps in his mid-50s, but didn't look it, not at first blush. Good skin, finely trimmed mustache, and a head full of slicked back black hair. He looked like a cartoon drawing of a crooked politician had come to life. I did my due diligence. No family connections. No internet profile. No warrants. Nothing. A nobody, perfect for the gathering. He paced as he spoke. When he came by where I was hiding, through the suit jackets, I could get a better look at him. Upon closer inspection, the man's actual age shone through. His face bore telltale sign of plastic surgery. Plastic, uncanny valley look. While most of his hair was jet black, he had the budding growth of silver poly walnut-style wings around his temples. The corners of his eyes and mouth had the faintest of cracks. Yes, he was that close to me. The man pressed the phone against his ear and held it in place with his shoulder as he shimmed out of his suit jacket. He flung the expensive jacket onto the ground as if it were covered in ants. The phone never left his ear. Pete, Peter, seriously, I know, I get the scope. Okay, yes, I know. It's why I doubled back. I'm changing. I know they're very particular. Only get one shot at a first impression. He stopped directly in front of me and shook his head. Would I get a first impression? His conversation engrossed him. That thrilled me. If he had even been the tiniest bit bored, he might have noticed a face staring back at him from the Armani wing of his closet. Just then, the lights in the closet flickered. The man looked up at the blinking bulbs and shook his head. As he did, I spotted something hidden away across the closet. Standing half in the shadows was the figure I'd seen earlier. It wasn't a person. I wanted to scream. I wanted to turn. and run as fast as my jello legs would take me. But I couldn't do anything but shut my eyes and wish it away. So that's what I did. Christ, the man said. No, not you. This fucking closet light is on the fritz again. I know, I should have hired your guy, but Mary was so big on the asshole who built this out. What could I do? Happy wife, happy life, right? Pete said something, and the man guffawed. Should I say, happy second wife, happy life? Nothing would have pleased that first bitch. As the two men laughed, I felt a presence appear next to me behind the clothes. A feeling in the animal part of my brain. A predator was near. Flee, run for the safety of the bush, little rabbit. But I couldn't. Not even when I felt the hot breath on my neck. This got me to wrench open my eyes. I turned and expected to find some biblical ghoul waiting to devour my soul. Instead, the man's hand reached for a suit jacket beside me, a $300,000 watch on his wrist, the salt and pepper arm hair escaping his starched white shirt. Money too. Burn. What I didn't see or feel was the ghoul. It was gone. The light flickering also stopped. The creature's absence took away some of the tension, but didn't set my mind at ease. I was still trapped. If this guy stumbled or moved his hand 3 inches, he'd hit me square in the face. I held my breath, afraid my faint breathing might alert him. He yanked a jacket off the hanger. The hanger swung back and hit me square. In my right eye, I slammed my lid closed and squeezed hard, praying that would take away the pain, but knowing it wouldn't. I wanted to rub it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to jump up and down in pain. But all I could do was trap the pain in my body and wait for him to leave. The light above started to strobe again. That, coupled with my wounded eye, made it damn near impossible to see anything clearly. But my ears worked just fine. Over the man's tasteless jabbering, I heard floorboards outside the closet creak. Pete, let me tell you, I'm so excited to join up with the organization. I think you guys are gonna love the tasty little. The lights shut off. So did the man's mouth. I used the darkness to scratch at my eye, like a 1980s DJ. I blinked once, twice, 3 times. It stayed open. It hurt like hell, but I could see again. Or, I would be able to, if the light hadn't just shut off. Jesus Christ. I hate this goddamn closet. No, just let me let you go. I gotta check something out before I leave again. I know, I won't be late. He hung up his phone, but with it, trying to turn on the flashlight. The screen's weak light lit up the edges of his face. He looked otherworldly, a hideous goon God had not intended to replicate. His fumbling fingers finally found the flashlight. As soon as he flipped it on, his phone died. Goddamn Chinese crap. How does this bullshit cost $1,000? The only light now poured in from the open closet door, right near where I had heard the creaking. My cat burglar trained eyes had adjusted to the low light. I strained my neck trying to get a peek at the door, but the man's body had come between me and the exit. Mumbling to himself, he strode toward it. Before he could leave, though, something quickly ran into the bedroom and slammed the closet door shut. I heard the turn of a lock before the sprinting of feet as they ran down the hallway. The man screamed and slammed into the door. The walls rattled, but the door held firm. He shouldered it again as hard as he could. It was a dumb mistake. He crumpled to the floor, moaning in pain and grabbing at his shoulder. Fucking hell, he said, rubbing his wound. He kicked the bottom of the door twice, not in any attempt to open it, but out of frustration. I'm gonna beat someone's ass. He kicked the bottom of his door a 3rd time for good measure. He pushed himself back up, muttering curses under his breath, and made his way to the vanity he felt along the side of the counter until he found a latch and pulled it. With a click, the vanity revealed itself to be a door into a hidden room. An eerie white light emanated from the room, and I realized it was the glow of dozens of TV screens. A panic room. I couldn't move to get a closer look, but it was clear he was searching the screens for something. Or, more likely, someone. He walked deeper into the panic room, and I took that moment to shuffle, ever so quietly, a little closer to where he was. I fucking knew it. The man yelled. The hate and menace in his voice made me wince. Seconds later, he came storming out of the panic room with something in his hands. I couldn't make it out at first, but when he swung it against the door, I realized it was an engineer's hammer. WHUMP. 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 Catching the handle snapped off after several swings. Light from the outside room poured through the hole. The man pressed his face against the opening and scanned the primary bedroom. He put his mouth to it and yelled, "I know you're out. When I find you, you're gonna wish you were dead." For a dramatic flourish, he booted the closet door. It violently swung open, slamming into the doorstop and vibrating like a tuning fork. He walked through, clutching the hammer hard in his hand. He had murder on his mind. I was just glad he wasn't coming after me. The now familiar sound of footsteps running down the hall prompted the man to sprint after them. I heard a door slam across the house. The rhythmic pounding of the hammer on the door handle soon followed, creating the worst-sounding drum and bass track of all time. Asterisk, last man at the bar, fucks the ugliest broad. Dad, from my memories, confirming what my gut already knew. It was time to split. I pushed through the clothes and crept toward the closet door. I had a clean path to the window. The man was preoccupied with his hammer. I didn't want to imagine where the ghoul was. I was 15 feet from freedom. So why couldn't I convince myself to leave? I knew I should. Self-perseverance screamed at me to fling open the window, shimmy, shake down the drain pipe, and sprint to my car. I felt my dad pushing me from behind the grave. "Move, you mook. The fuzz'll be here soon." But something was holding me back. If this guy killed someone, and I didn't stop it, I'd never forgive myself. I'd have that person's blood on my hands. I couldn't carry that weight. I'm a crook, not a bastard. Sighing, I changed course and headed for the panic room door. I needed to see what was happening. I also needed to find out where the cameras were located in the house, so I wouldn't inadvertently show up on one. It might also show me another pathway to escape if the need arose. My mouth hit the floor as I walked into the panic room. A bank of monitors displayed nearly every inch of the house, inside and out. I'd spotted the outside cameras while I cased the place and found a dead zone between them. That was not true inside. There was a camera pointed directly at the window I had climbed through. There was one looking at me right now. Buck the man, wailing on the handle, caught my eye. While it only took a few direct hits to dislodge the first handle, this one was not cooperating with him. I watched him take 6 massive swings and nothing. It held firm. Top quality handle, adamantium-esque. I looked around for anything else I could use for a weapon, and came up empty. Maybe there would be something I could use in the bedroom. With the man focused on trying to break down the door, I eased my way out of the closet and into the room. The place was spotless. Nothing dangerous in here, but unearned wealth and few scruples. There wasn't anything I could use to counteract a hammer swing. "Damn it," I muttered. "Who are you?" came a voice from under the bed. I screamed in fright, but a quick slap of my hand over my mouth stopped it from escaping into the wider world. I glanced down at the floor under the bed. Were all my worst childhood fears coming true at the same time, despite every horror story advising me not to? I got down on the floor and looked under the bed. A scared woman in her early 20s was staring back at me. Her eyes were wide, and I could see her trembling. She was filthy, but I'm not sure she entered the house that way. A sour stench surrounded her, and I realized she'd been here for a while. She had broken and bloody fingernails, as if she'd been trying to pry open a stuck door. On the back of her hand, I saw raised pink hillocks of freshly branded skin, a shape that I instantly recognized. A triangle inside a pentagon. "Who are you?" she asked again. Her voice was a vapor. Might as well be honest. "A thief," I said. "Who the hell are you?" "He kidnapped me, H. He's been holding me for 2-3 weeks," the woman said, her voice breaking. "He was gonna sack." Her voice caught again. He's a monster." Suddenly, the phone conversations the man had with Pete made more sense. It chilled me. Whatever he had planned for this woman would not be pleasant. "What's your name?" "Inez," she said. "Brian," I said. "He's busy, Inez. Let's get out of here." "I can't." "What? Why?" "Not yet. He's chasing shadows," I said, my voice transforming from a whisper to a yell. Now's the chance. I promised him I'd help finish the job. You promised the monster. No, Inez said. At once, all the lights in the house flicker and shut off. With every electrical machine off, the house felt still, abnormally quiet. I could feel my heartbeat. It vibrated through my whole body. Wait, no. That wasn't my heart. The entire house was vibrating. I promised the demon I conjured. Who the fuck is in my bedroom? The man yelled from down the hall. She's my prize, you hear? Tell Pete to find his own goddamn lamb. Get under here, Brian, Inez yelled. I wasn't going to argue. I dropped to the floor and army crawled under the bed. As soon as my legs were safely under, the entire house shuddered again, rolling like an earthquake. My stomach flipped and I chewed back the vomit that had charged the gates. As fast as it came, it left, both my bile and the house. It was still. Again, the only noise I heard was the chain on the fan gently tapping against the dome light. Whatever you do, Inez whispered, don't look at it. I shut my eyes. A concussive explosion blew out the door down the hall. I heard the man cry out before his body thumped against the wall. A sickening crack of bones, snapping on impact, echoed down the hall. What the fuck? 2 thunderous house-rattling stomps followed. The man was whimpering in pain and fear, and God knows what else. I heard him stand, but before he could flee, the air shattered with the sound of dozens of different people's agonizing screams and a low rumbling growl. Oh my God, the man yelled, the panic in his voice palpable. His brain's terror messages finally connected with his legs. The next thing we heard was the thumping of footsteps rushing toward us. Why not leave? I thought asterisk. The stairs to the exit were right there, asterisk then. It dawned on me. He was trying to get to his panic room, the place where he believed his money had bought him security, his sanctuary, his safe place. What he didn't understand was that there would be no protection there. He wasn't going to find a shelter to shield him from the bomb. He was going to find his tomb as soon as he crossed the threshold of his door. An invisible force shoved him in the back. Ragdoll-like, he flew through the air, crashing into the window. It shattered. Glass fell around him like those shimmering jewels I'd seen on the brooch. The man landed with a thud next to the bed. Despite one's warning, I opened up my eyes as his body crashed near us. I saw the man. He saw me. Blood leaked out from dozens of slices across his arms and face. There was a burn mark on his back, and his skin sizzled. You could smell the stink of cooked meat. I think about what went through his brain at that moment. An unholy monster was chasing him, threatening him. His life was on the line. He's just suffered traumatic injuries. Then he sees a strange man hiding under his bed with the woman he planned to use for some ungodly, horrific ritual. Before the chaos of the moment returned, he had to think, what the hell is going on here? Who the hell are you? Asterisk the man attempted to stand, but a scaled-covered hand seized him in an iron grip. He struggled, yelled, pleaded, but he couldn't break free. The creature let out another choir's worth of screaming voices and dragged the man toward the closet by his hair. The man screamed at us to help, but we didn't move an inch. Have mercy, please. I have a family. This isn't right. Please. I glanced at Inez. She was stoic. I wondered if the man had felt the same indifference when he abducted and beat her. Each time the demon's cloven hoof hit the carpet, it ignited the fabric. Little fires everywhere. The man screamed as the closet door slammed closed behind them. The next sounds we heard were the snapping of bones and the dying screams of a condemned man. Let's go, Inez said, shimmying out from under the bed. Don't have to tell me twice. Several of the smaller fires had coalesced into a larger blaze. The house was a goner. The flames blocked the doorway to the stairs. Inez held up her hand to shield herself from the heat, but it was in vain. She turned to me, eyes pleading. What do we do? I got this, I said. I dashed to the window and knocked out the remaining broken glass. Smoke poured out into the night air. Come on, I yelled. Climb down the drainpipe. I have a car nearby. Inez nodded and nearly leaped out the window. She moved down the drainpipe so quickly, I lost sight of her almost instantly. I climbed out the window and stopped to look back in. The black smoke filling up the room made seeing anything impossible. I felt my tool bag strapped to me. I reached in and found the brooches I stole. Holding them up to my face, I could see dozens of little fires reflecting off their surfaces. Without giving it a second thought, I tossed everything I took into the house. I didn't need a curse following me. Hurry. Please. The firemen are coming, Inez said. She was right. Fire and police, probably. I didn't want to be here when they arrived. I can't imagine Inez had any desire to stick around any longer as well. Once I was on the ground, I helped her climb the outer fence and clambered over after her. As we hit the ground, I saw dozens of neighbors coming over to watch the show. None of them seemed to clock us. I grabbed Inez's hand and led her into the darkness away from any potential witnesses. We walked the 3 blocks to where I had stashed my car. The neighborhood was alive with the approaching sirens and burning mansion. Inez sat down on the curb, put her head in her hands, and sobbed. I wanted to comfort her, but wasn't sure if I should. Are you okay? I finally offered. No, she said. But when is life ever okay? I laughed. Got me there. She spat toward the mansion. I hope his soul rots in hell. I'd say he got what he deserved. I had so many questions for her, but didn't feel like now was the time for them. Well, there was time for one. Even if I wanted to avoid asking, my mouth just went for it. How did you do that? The demon. I nodded. I prayed for it. But you were praying to God, right? I said, confused. I prayed for revenge, she said, standing, and something finally heard me. Did you promise it anything? Do you owe it your soul or something? She gave me a weak smile and wiped away her tears. I would never get that answer. She softly touched my shoulder, nodded her head, in thanks, and started walking down the street. I wanted to call out, to offer her a ride somewhere, to ask her those 100 questions, to offer her help. She didn't want it, didn't need it. She operated on a level that was higher than I could even conceive, dabbled in things I couldn't imagine, dark things, things I didn't want to imagine ever again. Despite my curiosity, I didn't follow her. She needed peace, solitude. A thought came to me in that moment. When you've got what you came to get, you leave. That was Dad again. He was talking about breaking and entering, but I couldn't help but feel like it worked now, too. We both got our freedom back. A second chance we thought we'd never get. When you got what you came to get, you leave. Thanks, Dad.